I am so happy about today's show because we have Coach Gabe Singer, and Gabe is going to help us learn all about why we run GOGI meetings, how to run a GOGI meeting, and we're going to give you the confidence that you need so that you might be able to just run a GOGI meeting in your housing unit or at home or over the phone, whatever. In any case, we're really excited about today's show. Coach Gabe, you on Thursdays now, you are logging into Teams and you are actually leading GOGI meetings and facilitating with our leaders in a California prison over video. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
I joined the ISP GOGI Zoom meetings 2 weeks ago. It was really fun with Coach Carlson and Coach Raphael. And so we get to discuss, reentry pathways, the GOGI Way. So we talk about the tool of the week. We talk about how to apply that tool upon reentry. And some of the things that would be like the boss of your brain or ultimate freedom, and how to use them like when getting on the bus or going for a job interview or filling up a college application. And so that's the overall discussion. And it's actually been a fun time and I'm really appreciative.
Well, the reason I asked you to hop onto this meeting today is because you know your tools, you apply your tools. And I want to have you introduce yourself as far as where you've been in your education and your pursuits. But you have seamlessly integrated the tools into everyday living, and I would absolutely love to have you share that, so that when individuals are going to these GOGI meetings or listening to the GOGI audio or watching the GOGI on YouTube or their tablets or whatever, they really know they are laying the seeds for big successes. So would you mind just introducing yourself just a little bit, where you were, maybe a sentence or two, where have you been, and then the most important thing, where are you headed?
So my name is Coach Gabe. I've been out a little less than 3 years, roughly 2.5 years of a 20-year sentence. Yes.
Okay, out of prison.
Yeah.
You were once a prisoner.
Yes. Okay, let me start over. Yes. So my name is Coach Gabe. So I re-entered society from prison 2.5 years ago from a 20-year sentence. I first met Coach Taylor in around 2015 at Kern Valley State Prison, where she introduced GOGI to us level 4 incarcerated people. And it's been a very great journey ever since I've done the GOGI tools. They've helped me overcome self-confidence issues, educational journeys. I use them with my family and my wife. I use them on my everyday life when a workout isn't the way I wanted to, or a job interview didn't go. So I have encompassed GOGI in all aspects of my life, and I love it.
And now you got out of prison, you re-entered, you're moving along, and you hop right into education. Tell me about that. How was that, going from a prison setting to, wow, this is a campus with people just meandering around? And how was that journey, and where has that journey led you?
So that's where GOGI comes in. Stepping on a college campus after incarceration was overwhelming. And so I had to use my tools like Boss My Brain to know when my emotional parts acted up and not say, I don't want to be here, I can't be here. Because I did want to be there. And so I just graduated spring semester with my bachelor's in criminal justice. I was awarded the Distinguished Student Award for that department. And past August, I was awarded the CSU Trustee Award for outstanding student recognition for San Francisco State University. So that award only goes to 23 students, one on each campus out of the 450,000 students that CSUs have on campus.
How did you utilize your tools to get you there? Because I know people are saying, "Oh my gosh, I'll learn the GOGI Life tools if it's going to get me scholarships and awards." How did the GOGI Life tools play a part in you being prepared to be up for those awards and all the recognition you're receiving?
That's a great question. I mean, there's so many different layers of how GOGI has prepared me for that. So studying and becoming a GOGI coach helped me learn tools to be successful in school. And then on top of that, having tools like Boss My Brain, belly breathing, 5-second light switch, the positive words, thoughts, and actions allowed me to when, if something just didn't go right or went haywire, or a grade I didn't receive that I thought I did better than, It allowed me to process and say, okay, what can I have learned to do better? And then, of course, ultimate freedom, being in service. And that's like volunteer time, helping another student out. And then you just encompass all that, and that's we start getting scholarships and awards where you're just involved in the student body life, and you're able to be positive, and you're able to be in service and grow and learn to have academic success.
Now, there are going to be some individuals who are sitting on a 2-inch mattress or driving in their car who say, well, he must have always been a good student, and that's not for me. That doesn't apply to me. How does it apply? How does that attitude of utilizing the tools every day inch you forward to successes for everyone, not just you? You're special to me, but you're not really that different from so many other humans. So how are you just the average Coach Gabe who just got out of prison and had to carve his own path? What, did you have a silver spoon?
No, I didn't get my GED till I was in my 30s. An 8th grade dropout. High school was not for me at all. I think I went to 9th grade for like half a semester, and I was all, I'm good. But there's times where I had to sit and learn how to read. I mean, I look back at some of these first letters I wrote my partner, and they were really poorly written letters. But that's okay.
Did she save those letters?
We have them all.
So it's a lesson in grammar and education, the trajectory.
Yeah, and that's what GOGI brought us. We created a community in Kern Valley with GOGI and in the education department. And that's where we were able to practice our writing and learning and develop study habits and GOGI habits, and know what tools on the calendar, and kind of, like I said before, encompass all that to become a GOGI coach into education. Like you learn the behavior chain, then you also learn the 3 Ps, and then you learn all these different tools back and forth and different theories, because you're interested in building up this toolbox for yourself because of the GOGI life tools. So, that was the first concept I ever talked about, a toolbox. So, first my toolbox was really small. I had a hammer and a screwdriver and a little bit of tools, or the 12 tools of GOGI. But then you start adding to it. So you have your 12 tools of GOGI, then you have your education tools, and you have your life tool, and you have all these different. So now my toolbox is like a small Snap-on truck. It's no longer a little carry-on handheld toolbox.
And in your relationships, I know you're really heavy into education, and that is something you're excelling at. But you're also balancing your relationship. The woman that wrote those letters to you, that gets balanced too. How are you utilizing the GOGI life tools to help balance that relationship?
So, as we all know, re-entering and moving into someone else's place takes time to kind of figure all out. And it's very easy to get a celly. You're on the same page. You have a routine. You have your top bunk, bottom bunk. You know when you need cell time, but that doesn't always happen when you parole. You know what I mean? And understanding, like I always said, like the boss of your brain, that is the essential part of like a successful relationship, because you don't want to have an emotional reaction and then lead to an old habit where you're upset, screaming, or arguing. You want to be able to use your smart part of your brain and discuss what you're feeling. So I mean, we still sit down and say, hey, like these are the things I'm struggling with, not because I'm upset with you. It's because there's a struggle for me. I'm only 2.5 years out of a almost 20-year sentence. And not everything, I know it seems like I'm doing great, but sometimes I'm still struggling. And that's just communication. And having the GOGI tools also gave me a language.
Now, tell me, Gabe, that I'm very interested in 20 years, then you move in with someone and you don't get cell time alone. You can't tell your cellie, I don't want to talk right now. You are actively engaged in society, and they just demand things of you when you're not ready, or you're not prepared, or you're not. And even 2.5 years out, you still are acclimating, you're still adjusting. Was it overwhelming at first? Like when you first got out, was it kind of like, oh my gosh, What was that feeling, and how did you not get overwhelmed? Because many individuals just say, "Oh, I can't do this. I don't know. I need a drink."
No, it was like getting hit by a bus almost. It is very overwhelming. But that's the thing, is recognizing those emotions. And like I said before, we go back to the boss of your brain. When you're able to recognize your emotions, what are two things you can do? You can belly breathe. You have 5 second light switch. You don't want to go to your old habits, because that's what a lot of times led us to, the sentence we got. So you want to be able to use your boss of your brain and use your smart part and use your voice. Let's say, hey, I'm doing the best I can, and I'm trying, and this is how I feel. And always use I statements, of course. We all know that. But it's really sitting down and having someone say, like, I might need to leave. I know we're 12 minutes away from this appointment, but I might need to leave an hour early because I get lost, I get a little nervous, I get anxious, and if I can just have some time to kind of figure it out how to get there, then I will be okay. In a sense, I can process, navigating from taking the bus or the muni or driving. And just I might need a little more time to get somewhere. We're people who have never experienced long-term incarceration might be able to just get in the car, drive the 12 minutes, and be okay with being 5 minutes late. And that's, I don't experience that. I'm not okay with being 5 minutes late. There's many times where I was 5 minutes late in prison where the COs locked me out. You couldn't go to yard, your door got slammed, you couldn't get to education, or sometimes visiting. So those experiences right there has led me to need to be a little punctual, maybe a little early, but also communicate to people around me that this is why I need to leave early.
You said something interesting. You said something that you assume that everyone knows is the I statement. I feel this way, or I think, or I'm struggling.
Yeah.
But often we hear, well, you can't talk to me that way. Or, well, you don't know what it's like, or you can't use that tone of voice with me, or you need to back off, or you. How do we make that transition from being you to, even if the tone of voice isn't right, even if it's something that you've said 1,000,001 times, rather than go to the you, how can we turn those discussions back to the I? Because I think therein lies a lot of the reentry challenge and relationship challenge and work challenge and finance challenges, is to really claim responsibility. One of our tools is really own what's going on with you and not blame it on someone else. How, just really quickly before we move on to another subject, I'd love you to just elaborate a little bit on making it a I statement rather than a you.
I can't control people around me. That is way too much energy. That's too much time. I can only control myself. So if I feel a certain way because of what someone's actions is, then I need to explain what I'm going through, not what they did. Because trying to retrain people is a lot of work, especially if they have never sat with themselves or anything. So they might not even, you can't be mad at someone, or you shouldn't be mad at someone for not knowing what they don't know. And so I can go up to someone and say, I feel, or I need, or I would like to discuss with you because I would like to build a relationship. Now, if I walked up to someone and said, hey, you cut me off in line to get on the bus, you are wrong, you apologize. If that person's in a bad mood that day, then we will not be talking, or we will be getting in an argument, which is something I do not want to do.
Yes, most certainly. You just have so much wisdom, Coach Gabe. I do hope we can include you in some of the other podcasts and what we're putting on the prison tablets, because you are a wealth of information, and the guys on Tuesday that log into that Teams meeting are really appreciating it. I do want to go to the subject of the GOGI meetings. A lot of individuals think that if somebody offers a meeting, I can go to a meeting, that a meeting is something you go to because we're programmed that way. Oh, I want to go to an AA meeting or an NA meeting or a dog training meeting or whatever. I want to go to a chapel meeting. We think most often that a meeting is something held by somebody that I can align with or attend. why is a GOGI meeting different, and what value did it have as you were emerging into this GOGI culture?
So you can create your own meetings. And so the GOGI Tools books that we have, like the mini book, and the plethora of information that you provided on open source materials, is like all the tools you need to go fishing. So some people want to go fishing, and they don't, or they just want to eat fish, and they want someone to provide that fish for them. You go to a restaurant, that's like a meeting. You can go to a meeting, it's like going to a restaurant and ordering fish. GOGI allows you to go get your own fish, cook it, and put it together any way you desire it to be. So, like GOGI meetings, we have a mini book, we have the structure. You can have a meeting anywhere. You and three friends, you and your wife or your partner, you and your kids. You don't have to go anywhere. You can build that within your own community, your household, in the cell, in a park, with your friends, on your own. And that's the great thing about open source materials, is that they're for people to build their own community wherever they are. And that's what I like to do too. So I've worked at Larkin Street and built GOGI meetings there. I work at Project Rebound, and we're working on that. And I taught a class at SF State with Project Rebound about restorative justice. And we built our own GOGI meetings in classroom to teach people how to build their own meetings. And I think that's really a remarkable thing about GOGI, is that anyone can grab this material and go through it, read it, and hold their own meeting anywhere.
Yeah, and you said, open source material. Of course, this is the little GOGI meeting manual. It's a tiny little thing, but anyone can download the PDF of this for free. It's for free, and it is for sale on Amazon, but it's for free in PDF format. So anybody can get this. And let's see if I have oh, here we go. I have the mini book as well. And in the GOGI mini book, it is kind of a tiny little book that gives all the basics of the tools. In the back of the book, Coach Gabe, I'm going to turn to a meeting, and I am going to read a section and ask you the value of that section, or kind of how you used it. So let's just do one of the meetings, just in general. This little book tells the history of each of the tools. Anybody at any institution can download this. So all you got to do is tell somebody to go to our website, gettingoutbygoingin.org, and they're going to be able to get that. But the first thing we do is we get people together. This can be two guys in a cell. This can be a group in the day room. We've had gymnasiums that have 10 and 15 different groups of 12 people each. So 100 and something people in one gymnasium running these groups. So the group gathers, however you define the group. The first thing is administrative duties. Coach Gabe, what is the value of, even if it's two people, just reviewing some of the administrative duties, or just reviewing the lay of the land or other things? What's the value of the administrative duties?
It's a good question. The value of that, in my opinion, is kind of to, organize your meeting and understand that the roles that everyone can play in this meeting. And so that also doesn't allow people to kind of take over a meeting. So everybody has equal voice. You have a facilitator, co-facilitator, etc. And nobody is higher in a GOGI meeting than the other person. We're all equal. And so that kind of just lays out the land and allows everyone to say, okay, we're here together. You do this or I do that, and then we'll do this together.
Okay, so you can lay the land. So we only have 45 minutes today because the chapel is needed.
Right.
So so anything administrative, or I can't be here next week. Joey, can you take over? That sort of thing.
It's a check-in.
The next thing is there's a reading for group circles, and I'm going to read it, and I want you to tell me what the value is of it. GOGI meetings and all GOGI studies are defined by our GOGI Life Tool calendar and our groups. If we have not already done so, at this time we break from the larger group meeting into groups of 2 to 12 participants. What is the value of 2 to 12 participants in your perspective?
you get to listen and talk. And I think that's really bad. When you have a small group, everyone has a role they can play in it as well as communicate. A big audience for me sometimes is overwhelming. One person can hold the floor and it's hard to kind of be intimate and share. When you have one or two people or 12 people, it's a circle. You can share. You can form a really tight community and get really comfortable.
Yeah, and the circle groups are always best when there's not desks in front of people.
Right.
Sometimes it's just the little metal spider tables in the day room. People will just have a small group there. But for the most part, it's without desks, without obstructions, in a nice tight circle. That helps bonding, you would say?
Yeah, and circle groups are amazing. I participate in them and I run them all the time out here, and I really like the fact that when you have a circle, you have your piece, you have your book, you have your calendar, and you just go around. You can really have a nice conversation.
I love it. Okay, the next part is start your meeting. I'm going to read this out loud too. Normally, we would ask for volunteers to read. If this was a meeting, I would say, Coach Gabe, would you mind reading part number 2? And you would read it. Or Joey, would you read part number 3? So I'm going to read Start Your Meeting. The GOGI Life Tools are studied worldwide according to the GOGI Life Tool calendar. We unite with others according to this schedule so that no one will feel they are alone in their effort to make positive decisions. We believe in everyone's ability to benefit from this positive community of individuals united in the GOGI Life Tool calendar. Therefore, we call this GOGI Boss of My Brain meeting, belly breathing meeting to order, and we join the tool being studied by students of GOGI everywhere. What is the value of the calendar as far as you are concerned?
Being a part of something greater than myself, understanding that there's everybody is practicing the same tool on the same calendar day in a bigger societal manner. So sometimes when you're like in prison or you're in your own personal prison, you don't realize that there's a bunch of people that are working on the same tool or the same thing you're working on. You may be feel isolated. This is only happening to me. But when you have a calendar and you know that you have a whole community of individuals nationwide or worldwide that are practicing the same tool for whatever reason on the same day of the same week, it really gives you a power of purpose, in my opinion, and connection and community.
Yeah, I have to agree. And the calendar came about when I was going cell to cell in Pelican Bay SHU, right after the hunger strikes at 2013. And men were never out of their cells. And one student, I approached his cell front and he said, "What tool is everybody studying?" I don't know. He said, "Well, I don't want to be alone." And so the calendar was created upon my next visit to a very large group, was created to honor the fact that we don't always have people we're studying with. Sometimes we wake up on a Monday morning, we're starting a new job, but if we know what the tool of the week is, we know we're never alone.
Yeah. And it's very powerful.
Yes, to have that community. Okay, number 3, I'm going to read it, but that would be another volunteer. Review of the GOGI Life Tools. Boss of My Brain, belly breathing, 5-second light switch. Positive thoughts, positive words, positive actions. Claim responsibility, let go, forgive. What if, reality check, and ultimate freedom. What do you think? I saw you smiling as I was reading those tools. Why are you smiling?
They're great tools. It brings back a lot of fond memories of working on each tool while I was incarcerated. And also brings a lot of fond memories of teaching these same tools upon release.
Yeah. And it's a culture, it's a community. It's something that can stay with you when individuals say, "Man, I'm GOGI for life." They really truly mean it because the tools get integrated into every aspect of how we exist. Okay, the part number 4, the 4th step is the GOGI purpose. And again, a volunteer would read this. The objective of the GOGI meetings is to reinforce the use of the GOGI life tools and support positive community experiences. We accomplish our objective through the study of the GOGI life tools shared in circle groups according to the GOGI life tool calendar. Would you say that is a accurate purpose for why people all over are gathering once a week to study their GOGI life tools?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I was kind of reflecting when you're reading. I think that's a really good accurate purpose, and it also shows how connected every GOGI member is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I'm on a long drive from one prison to the next, I feel very alone. And in truth, I am. For many years, there wasn't good cellular signal throughout parts of California. So there would be stretches of an hour or two where I had nobody to talk to and very little radio signal. And there were stretches where I was very alone. We all feel very alone at parts of our life. And when I remember the GOGI Life Tool calendar, and when I remember that I, like that man in shoe at Pelican Bay, am never alone, never, ever alone. When I look at that calendar, I know what tool that community is studying. So the purpose is accurate.
Yeah.
We want you to have a community. We want you to build communities. We want you to experience community and the reinforcement of the positive GOGI life tools. Would you say that's right?
100%. It's the thread that links us all together.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, group check-in, number 5. This group check-in, each member may be given the opportunity to check in, stating one positive thing that happened during the week. Now, a lot of people do check-ins and it's, oh my gosh, I lost my car. Oh my gosh, somebody gave me a ticket. It's $200. My tooth fell out. I have a headache. GOGI Meetings focuses on at least one positive thing that happened during the week. Do you think that there's a value in focusing on the positive?
Oh, absolutely. It's so easy to go down that negative rabbit hole. Very easy. It's actually, I think our brains are wired to do that. And so what's funny? I actually started my classes the same way. And so when I was teaching the experimental college in the story about, I would ask all the students, what is one positive thing that happened to you this week? I wanted my classroom, just like GOGI, to start off on the positive. I wanted people to laugh and engage. I didn't want people to sit in their own negativity and talk about the things that could bring them down or upset them, because I wanted them to be able to look at a shining light no matter where they are.
You bring up a great point, Coach Gabe, because GOGI meetings are not about fixing problems. They're not.
No.
We don't care about your problems. We see you as far larger, bigger, more important than your problems. We see you as far more capable than your problems. And if we can get you in a GOGI circle group where everyone is seeing you as those positive things, then we've done our job, which is to get you to be the solution for your community. So you utilize that even outside of GOGI meetings, Coach Gabe. What you're telling me is you use that positive kind of check-in regularly.
Absolutely. It sets a great foundation to have a great discussion, whatever we're talking about. I mean, if I do a check-in and everyone's talking about some negative thing, we're gonna circle around and try to fix it, and that's not the point.
Yes.
And the point is, to give you tools to learn, like I said, very beginning, to teach you how to fish. And we can give you groups can give you fish, jobs can give you the fish, but if we can teach you how to fish, how to fix your problems, how to become better, to see yourself as a growing individual, to take on things that you thought you never would be able to take on and achieve them, then we've done our job. Because for me, living the ultimate freedom is living the life that you want to live on your own accord, not a life that you live because of trauma or what people are telling you that you can do or anything. We want you to build your own life, in my opinion.
I love it. So after the check-in, then we have a volunteer do a tool reading. And most often somebody will just pick something out of the book. As a GOGI life tool, claim responsibility is easy because it has less to do with the past and everything to do with it. So they'll just pull something out of any one of the books and read about the tool. Why do you think this is an important aspect of the meeting, to have somebody read something they found valuable regarding that specific tool?
It's a great prompt for discussion. It's a great way to understand an individual, to see what their perspective is and what they're focused on through their life of growth. It's one of the great things about GOGI groups is that we're all equal in these groups. There's no leader, there's nothing. So we all can share our own perspective in teaching each other how we use the tools, how we're growing, what seed is that planting, and then how's that coming to fruition. And if I can learn from you, you can learn from me, then we're not only going to grow faster, but we're also going to create a bond that when we need each other or we're leaning on each other or we want to teach each other, then we already have built that relationship.
I love that. Sometimes there were outdated models of groups, and I would call it the King GOGI syndrome, where someone who did all the courses, all the books, really felt like it was so important to teach. And so it was kind of King GOGI. I am the king and you are the subjects, and I am teaching you my great wisdom about the tools. And it took a while to get everyone to understand that the best leader is often the person in the meeting who speaks the least. They're the ones that ask the most questions. And that's to build that community, that essence of belonging that you're talking about. Did you ever experience the King GOGI situation? And if so, how did you handle it?
Just went along with it. Yeah, we do. I mean, I think in the very beginning, when we're all learning, people get very excited.
Yes.
They come up with brilliant ideas. But I also think people sometimes fail to recognize what works for them may not work for everybody else. And so, in order to grow everybody, we have to learn from everybody. And I think we saw that. We saw that in the very beginning, where someone's like, "Here's the GOGI cards. Here's a toolbox that I made. Here's all these brilliant ideas." But then we also start seeing, as we grow together, people not needing to do that either. People would step back and go, "Okay, let's bring someone else in, or let's talk together." And I remember sitting in a big circle in Kern Valley's chapel where everyone was just kind of talking, and that's right before I transbacked. And it went from, instead of one person facilitating, standing up and discussing and then pointing it and say, "Hey, you read." It slowly morphed into a giant circle where everyone was sitting, discussing, kind of like a GOGI think tank. And I think that's the goal.
Oh, I like that, to call it a think tank. That might be a very good way to describe actually what it is, because it is not a teacher student. It is a think tank. I think that's a very, very good description for the ideal circle group. Is a think tank of like-minded individuals who have very different life experiences and listening and sharing. I like that very much, Coach Gabe.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I loved it. I think that's the power of GOGI, is to listen to everybody.
Yeah.
And like I said before, to see the perspective and grow with each other.
Okay, so after we do the tool, then we do applying the tools. So members of the group are invited to share personal experiences related to this week's tool. Challenges in applying the tool are also discussed. Open dialogue includes all group members and equal sharing talk of time. So after we've read about the tool, the functionality of it, or how it was founded by one of the GOGI students, then we're talking about applications. What is the value in allowing the group members to say, "Oh, well, I used that tool today at work," or what is the value of that?
I mean, there's multiple, in my opinion, there's a lot of different layer values. One is to let someone process how they use a tool and kind of think about the experience of when they use that tool and the success of that. The second part of that is for everyone to learn how that individual uses that tool. And sometimes you can even build a bigger GOGI language with that. And I'll give you a great example of that. When I used to write about the GOGI tools and the application, how I used it, one of them we used was Let Go, hand squash toss. And so one of the games that I created to just have fun with it, because I wanted to smile more, was that, you have the problem in your hand, you throw it up there, and then I use it as a baseball bat and I knock it out of the park. Well, I told that to some of the fellows when in the group, and then we started playing like Gogi baseball in the yard when we had a problem.
That is brilliant.
And
That's
so it's like, hey,
brilliant.
play like hand squash, toss and catch, and I'm gonna hit it out of the park. It was like a team thing, and that comes from expressing and explaining about how you use a tool, because then people can engage. If it's a fun way of doing it, you're gonna have people doing that, and then you change your perspective. You're smiling about a problem because you're not getting out of the park. And it overall just, like I said, it builds more community and also creates a deeper connection with one another.
I love it. And the next step is actually the optional tool activity. So if you find somebody who utilized the tool well, then you can have an activity. Well, what about you, Jack? Could you see yourself doing that, and create an activity? What would you do if you were late and they locked you out and you couldn't come to today's meeting? So the optional activity is then an option for the group after that. After we talk about how we utilize the tool, then getting to an activity, which is, of course, can be a very fun thing.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I love those activities.
Now, the next is the weekly statement of intention. I'm going to go ahead and read it. Each member of the group is encouraged to complete this sentence. It is my intention this week for me, it's my intention this week is to finish GOGI's Amazon store so that we can sell some of the specialized courses to people who are willing to purchase them. So my intention is this week I'm able to finish the GOGI Amazon store. Coach Gabe, what's your intention this week?
My intention this week is to finish 2 proposals that I want to send in for 2 conferences for next year.
Super. Okay, so that's the weekly statement of intention. Then, now we're going to be ending the meeting. All students of GOGI unite with our GOGI Pledge of Service. This pledge defines our purpose and is repeated at the end of every GOGI meeting. Remaining in your circle groups, each group will rotate, leading the pledge for larger groups. So if there's multiple groups in the room, we're going to gather as the bigger group to do the pledge as one larger community. If you have 2 people, you just swap every now and again. If you have 12, you rotate. Please repeat after me. And what do you think about the GOGI pledge, Coach Gabe?
I love it. I love ending it. I love ending all our groups with it. When I was more involved with groups, I used to have it memorized, and I think it's really good to have it memorized. But I like it because it brings everyone together. We break up. We start together. We might break up into a bigger group, and then we fall in together. And I think that's really important to show solidarity, community, and teamwork.
And then tidy up time. We thank you for participating in this week's GOGI meeting. Our next meeting will be held, date, time, and place. And the tool to be discussed will be according to the calendar. And then you mentioned the tool. If holding a meeting in one room, in a room, please let us leave the room clean and tidy for the next group. And that is how simple it is to run a GOGI meeting. I remember one time I was going into a security housing unit, and it was very high level. The guys weren't getting out for anything. And I walked around the corner up into the next area where the housing was, and I heard some guys talking, and it sure sounded like GOGI. And I approached the door, and there were 2 guys up on the upper bunk talking through the vent, and they were holding a GOGI meeting through their vent. And that just warmed my heart that it doesn't matter where you are. It can be through the vents if that's how you want to hold your meeting. GOGI meetings are for everybody. You don't need to be an expert. Certainly, Coach Gabe even forgot the memorization of the pledge. And you know what? I very rarely say the pledge. I'm 26 years into this GOGI thing. Very rarely say it without the cheat sheet. Yeah, cheat sheet as well. So, Coach Gabe, is there any last thoughts that you want to leave our audience with related to the importance of the GOGI meetings or the value?
I think we all have to maintain in the front of our forethought is that we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for growth. We're looking for community, and we're looking to build a strong community so everyone can, when they upon release, can continue building their own community and live the GOGI way. Whatever that means to you, that is a beautiful thing. And I think that's a really strong thing, is to live the life that you set forth for you while you're incarcerated, to re-enter and be a positive and powerful person, whatever that is.
I really like that. And you are just proof that it can happen. I mean, it was a couple of decades where I don't know that you were all that convinced that you would be going to college and getting a degree and filling out proposals and doing presentations. I don't know if that was a clear vision for those 20 years, but it certainly is a vision that you made happen through the use of the GOGI Life Tools.
No, absolutely. It was not a clear vision.
No.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, but I'm glad I have the tools to help me get through that journey in order to create that vision. And now it's a clear vision, and I still use the tools. And I really think that's important for everyone to understand. While you're inside or whatever when you're growing, and we're always growing, sometimes opportunities present themselves that you never thought would be afforded.
Yeah, that's very, very true. I'm going to say our pledge. You cannot repeat it, otherwise it messes up our recording, and it's kind of a mess. But this is a call response, so we always ask for a volunteer to say the pledge. And at some point in one of the future videos, I'll give you the story of how the pledge was created by the 24 women at the Los Angeles County Jail in a housing unit called GOGI Campus. I'll give you that story on future video. But the pledge that they gave to me to give to you goes like this. May our commitment to the study of GOGI grant us the joy of giving and receiving, so our inner freedom may be of maximum service to those we love and infinite others. And that's our GOGI Pledge of Service. Thank you for joining us. And Coach Gabe, I sure appreciate you having coffee with me. I didn't get to sip much of the coffee, but now that we're nearly done, we'll have a little swig of coffee and get on with our day. Thank you so much.
And Coach Taylor, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
GOGI, GOGI, GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by. GOGI, GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by.
All the GOGI Life Tool books are available on Amazon.
GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by.